This week on Capital Report, inflation and the economy. Your thoughts, Governor Lamont?
I think we're beginning to bend the curve.
If it bends, it's funny. If it breaks, it's not funny.
As for where Bob Stefanowski stands on the matter?
We got to stop campaigning and trying to make believe that everything is fine and start doing something for people.
Me. You.
Plus, words spoken months ago by the governor wind up in a new political ad.
And he's in Nashville setting up companies there because Connecticut's pretty complicated.
I think I'm gonna like it here.
While a Democratic super PAC hits back at Bob with an ad of its own.
His economic plans are so extreme they would create a massive budget deficit.
On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being not so extreme and 10 being extremely extreme, I give this a 9.5!
Campaign season, finding his groove.
This is the best thing I've ever seen.
We know. Cap Report starts now. Welcome to Cap Report. I am Tom Dutchick, and we are so glad you're spending part of this Sunday morning alongside the power panel of the coach. Coach, back in practice again? Berlin?
Back at practice, rocking and rolling.
All right, we got to get that Berlin Redcoats Cup for you next time.
We're back.
Johnny Mac's back.
I can't imagine putting on pads and a helmet in 85-degree weather. Tough stuff.
Tough stuff. Good kids.
All right, guys, let's get into it. Time for a Capital Report history lesson. During the 1992 presidential campaign, James Carville, Bill Clinton's political strategist, coined a simple four-word phrase: "Is the economy stupid?" Yep, that message came on the heels of a recession, and it helped propel Clinton to victory over George H.W. Bush. Fast forward 30 years, Republican gubernatorial candidate Bob Stefanowski. Stefanowski continues to hammer home the message that Ned Lamont and his pal Joe Biden are to blame for inflation and higher consumer prices and everything from gasoline to food and rent. But before we get to Bob, let's start with the Ned stir, because last Wednesday when the Gov was asked about June's inflation numbers reaching a 40-year high, he responded with this.
I'm an optimist in this sense. I think that 9.1% inflation number is a backwards-looking number. And I think what you've seen in the last 3 or 4 weeks in terms of declining gas prices, declining diesel prices, what you've seen in terms of construction materials and food and grain and all those things on the commodity markets, I think we're beginning to bend the curve.
And it just so happens that the very next day, Bob Stefanowski conveniently continued his summer campaign tour, where he invited reporters to lovely North Haven, where he continued to hammer home his message about the economy and hammer Lamont for that earlier comment. Take a look at this.
We've lost our perspective. These are incredibly insulting comments to the people of Connecticut. People are struggling. We can't rationalize away these problems. Governors aren't supposed to be looking behind their back. I don't care whether inflation is a backward-looking number. Governors are supposed to do something now. And that's what Laura Devlin and I are going to do. We're going to look at the present, we're going to look at the future, and we're going to look at how we help the people of Connecticut.
All right, guys, it's the economy stupid. I said North Haven. It's obviously lovely North Branford. I think, hey, Liz Cranwood's got the Bobster wearing those glasses. That's not bad.
Yeah, the glasses are a nice look.
Nice. So where are we with the inflation? It is the economy stupid, right?
Well, look, it is the economy, and people are hurting, and I think Ned Lamont knows that. He passed, not we anymore, but he passed the largest tax decrease in Connecticut history. Laura actually voted against it. She had an opportunity already to step up and say people are hurting, we want to relieve that tax burden. $100 million in taxes, the child for the car taxes, the child tax credit. They've done a lot, and they're investing in our future. So I think we're reacting, but he is right. They are behind us. Where are we going now? He is an optimist. That's why I think the state of Connecticut and the majority of the people really enjoy having him as governor. He loves the state of Connecticut, and he's always looking to make it better.
Well, here's what happened in 1992 when James Carville said it's the economy's stupid. George Bush seemed aloof and not connected to the real problems the people in the country were facing. Bill Clinton famously said, "I feel your pain." It's always about the economy, but it's important for elected officials and candidates to connect with people. When you talk about inflation as a backward number, you sound aloof, Joe, to the problems. Inflation is a sign of pain that Connecticut families have suffered and paid. It's a real cut in their net worth, in their take-home pay. So that is something I think that both candidates need to do. Now look, we can argue with what the Democrats and the governor did in the session, but we can also point out the fact that the governor and the Democrats intentionally allowed the diesel tax to be increased 23%. That has been a part why our inflation is so high, because our goods, our food, our products all cost more because of that higher tax.
Diesel tax is actually, diesel gas is down now. That's starting to recover on its own. It's going to get to, hopefully, the point to where it's not even noticed anymore. I really do think that if you've taken steps to make the economy better and you say a comment like that, you have some credibility. He took it seriously. $600 million in tax cuts is no joke. Paying down our pensions for the state of Connecticut, that every business leader throughout this country, when you talk to them about it, we're really concerned about our numbers. We're way ahead of the curve. We've taken proactive steps. Some of it, you just got to ride the wave and wait till it goes down. Are there more things we can do? Sure, but you're not going to do it through a press release or a press conference. Sit down, have a discussion. I know Governor Lamont's always open to ideas.
All right, guys, so the Stefanowski campaign isn't giving a free pass to Governor Lamont's recent open invitation to out-of-state businesses that support abortion rights to come in and set up shop here in Connecticut. Team Bob went right after the governor for comments he made before Roe versus Wade was overturned by the Supreme Court. Take a look at how they're using Lamont's words in this digital ad. Watch this.
But where does Lamont's family set up its new business?
And he's in Nashville, setting up companies there because Connecticut's pretty complicated.
Nashville, Tennessee, where a new law will prosecute doctors who perform abortions and jail women who get them.
So what did Governor Lamont think of Stefanowski taking this approach to hit Lamont? Well, here's his lengthy 5-second response, guys. Watch this.
No, that was just a cheap shot ad and took a clip from a year ago.
Democrat Governors Association isn't letting that one slide. They came out with their own spot last week that hammers away at Stefanowski's past business dealings and questions his economic proposals. Watch this.
His economic plans are so extreme they would create a massive budget deficit, devastating our schools, raising health care costs, and cutting care for thousands in nursing homes. Bob Stefanowski. He's too extreme for Connecticut. Paid for by strong.
It's the battle of ads, guys. Johnny Mack, you and I were talking off camera about the hit ad there against Stefanowski with some pretty old data. Do people still care about 2018?
Well, it is interesting. First of all, I think the fact that the Democratic Governors Association Super PAC is spending money to help Ned Lamont in the middle of July says their polling shows this is going to be a real race. So, and I think we know that. The fact that they're running against what Bob was for 4 years ago, and he has changed his position on the income tax and some other things, I think speaks of desperation. I think the Stefanowski attack ad against Lamont was a hit, but I think, quite frankly, Joe, look, the governor made an unforced error with comments he made. We've all done that, and there's nothing wrong with that. Can understand why he was frustrated about his family being brought into this. I think the bigger mistake, though, was not cleaning it up sooner. The reason why Stefanowski could use that ad almost a year later is because they never corrected. The governor should have just come out and said, look, I was frustrated. I said something I shouldn't have said, and his frustration was justified, and I think it could have gone away. But he gave that opening to Stefanowski.
I think both of them talk about the campaign. Anytime outside folks are coming in to spend money, it does say something. But Bob's ad, I've never seen it. It's just a web ad. It's not even up on TV yet. So is the money coming into the campaign that he thinks is going to come in, and what's his budget look like? The other thing is, well, okay, Bob, you don't want us to talk about what you did prior to 2018. What are you doing now? What have you been doing for the past 3 years? He keeps saying he was a consultant. Okay, release your client list. Tell us what you've been doing, and then we can make a judgment from there.
Well, look, Bob Stefanowski has said he's going to release his complete tax returns. He's going to fill out the ethics forms of this financial disclosure forms that no candidate for governor has ever done, and release all of the clients he's had that he's legally allowed to release. You can't do any more than that, and quite frankly, he would be doing more than the governor has done and any candidate for governor has ever done.
All right, guys, so is Bob Stefanowski and company taking the correct approach with an attack ad that may straddle the fine line between using someone's words against them versus a cheap shot? News 8's chief political correspondent Joy Latina posed that very question to Professor Erica Franklin Fowler, co-director of the Wesleyan Media Project. Watch this one.
there is a place for negativity in campaigns, but typically the negativity that is the most useful in terms of citizen learning is about policies. And it seems like this attack maybe crosses a line into more of, there's certainly a policy element to it, but involving a candidate's family is always, I think, typically perceived to be a personal attack, and those are risky.
Well, you know why people use negative campaign ads?
Because they work.
Because they work, guys, right?
Well, look, and unfortunately, we've all had this discussion. Sure. I would love to see it go away, just like I'd love to see the far left, the far right go away. The majority of the voters are somewhere in the middle, and they'll take in information, but when they do hear personal attacks or attacks that are perceived to be personal, I think they tune it out, and sometimes it does backfire. I'd love for it all to stop. I don't see it happening anytime soon, because it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does work. I agree with you completely, Joe. It's not going away anytime soon. I would disagree with, I think she's a professor. When you use a candidate's own words in an ad against them, I think the campaign people will tell you that lends credibility to your attack. Now, it could be taken out of context. It could be taken from many years ago and their positions changed. But I think the reason why you use someone's own words against them is because it lends credibility. That's what I think Bob was trying to do. I'm sure we'll see some Lamont ads that will use Bob's own words against him, and that's just the nature of the beast.
I'd always love to see the whole clip, though, what they say in the beginning, what they say after. But you're right, it's a 30-second ad.
All right, guys. Up next on Cap Report, how much is too much when it comes to spending money on cookies? You know who has the answer? Danny Haar. He is the Mrs. Fields of political journalism and is always cooking up a good story. Stick around. We'll be right back.